Hey guys, so I get asked frequently what's the best time of year for any of my three services, so power washing, window washing, or gutter cleaning. And the answer is different for each of them, so I'm going to break it down into the three categories, power washing, window washing, and gutter cleaning. And I'm going to discuss the best time of year for each of these. Now, one caveat here is that I am from New England, so this only pertains to New England. So if you live in a different part of the country or from a different country altogether, this obviously does not necessarily apply. So the first job is power washing, and with power washing, it matters the least out of the three services, what time of the year you get this done. It really doesn't matter for the most part. There is one exception that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but basically as long as it's 40 degrees or above, you should be fine to power wash. So really anytime in the spring, summer, or fall should be fine. I do have the most power washing jobs in the spring. It's about 75 to 80% of my revenue during that time is from power washing. However, that's not really due to any sort of advantage to power washing in the spring. It really has more to do with the fact that there's just a bunch of pent-up demand from the winter, and so everyone gets their house power washed then. But for the most part, it does not really matter what time of year you get it power washed. So the one exception that I just hinted at has to do with the levels of pollen in New England. So basically, over the course of the year, it's not really going to accumulate on anybody's house to the point where it's like visible, like you can see it just by looking at the house. However, if you rub your fingertips across the house, you would notice just like the yellow dust on your fingertips. So if the customer is trying to avoid just any levels of pollen on the house, then that would be a factor. So if the customer does want to get those levels of pollen removed, they should do it after the peaks of the pollen. So basically the first peak happens around like April or May, and then the second one is around August or September. So if they want to get that pollen removed, their first one should be around like June or July, and then the second power washing should be around October, November, or even early December if it's warm enough. So with window washing, the pollen is much more important than power washing. Basically, on the windows, you can see pollen much more clearly. On the siding, you can't really tell, but when you're looking through the window, any level of pollen is going to be very visible because the windows obviously are see-through. There was even one time when I was power washing in the spring and it was peak pollen, and by the time I finished the windows, I could already see pollen starting to accumulate on the windows right when I finished, and I felt like Sisyphus, and it was really irritating. So basically, for window washing, you should take the pollen into account much more than power washing. So like I said previously, the first peak is around April or May, and the second peak is around August or September. So you really should not get your windows washed in either of those periods. So with window washing, you want to go like either June or July for the first one, and then around October, November, or pretty much any time in December is fine for windows because the temperature doesn't matter as much as it does with power washing. So with gutter cleaning, it is most unique to the customer's house. So basically, if they have a tree that doesn't drop any leaves until like late November or even sometimes early December, then they should have their gutter cleaning done basically as late as possible into the season. Because obviously if I clean it in like early November and then it drops all the leaves, that's going to cause a bunch of issues for the customer. But if a customer has just trees that drop in like early to mid-November, it doesn't matter as much for the fall gutter cleaning. It could be like mid-November and that should be fine. For the gutter cleaning in the spring, it doesn't really matter as much. They can pretty much have it done anytime, and it shouldn't make too big of a difference as long as it's in the spring. So that's it for this video. That was me going over the best times of year to get either window washing, power washing, or gutter cleaning. So make sure you subscribe and just leave me a comment if you have any questions.